The year is 410 AD. The once mighty Roman Empire is crumbling. Across the sea, Germanic tribes see an opportunity. They are the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. These tribes set sail for the shores of Britain, an island rich in resources and ripe for the taking. This marks the beginning of the Anglo-Saxon period, a significant era in British history. The Anglo-Saxons were not a unified force. They came in waves, settling in different parts of the island. The Angles primarily occupied the north and east. The Saxons established themselves in the south. The Jutes settled in Kent and parts of the Isle of Wight. These groups were not peaceful settlers. They came as conquerors, eager to establish their dominance. They brought with them a new culture, language, and way of life. Their arrival marked a turning point in British history. As the Anglo-Saxons tightened their grip on Britain, they established their own kingdoms. These kingdoms were constantly vying for power, their borders shifting with the tides of war. Among the most powerful of these kingdoms were Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, East Anglia, Essex, Kent, and Sussex. Wessex in the south would later rise to prominence under the legendary King Alfred the Great. Mercia, in the Midlands, was known for its strategic location and fertile lands. Northumbria in the north was a centre of learning and culture, famous for its monasteries and illuminated manuscripts. These kingdoms, each with its own distinct identity, were bound together by a common language and culture. They were ruled by kings, advised by councils of elders, and their societies were structured around a warrior ethos. The arrival of the Anglo-Saxons had a profound impact on the native Celtic Britons. The Britons, descendants of the ancient Celts, had inhabited the island for centuries. They had their own languages, traditions, and belief systems, vastly different from those of the Anglo-Saxons. The meeting of these two cultures was often violent. The Anglo-Saxons, driven by a thirst for land and resources, pushed the Britons westward. Battles raged across the countryside, leaving a trail of bloodshed and displacement. Despite their valiant efforts, the Britons were gradually pushed to the fringes of the island. Many fled to the western regions of Wales, Cornwall, and Cumbria. The Anglo-Saxon conquest of Britain was a slow and brutal process, a clash of cultures that reshaped the island's destiny. Had a profound impact on Anglo-Saxon society. Section 5. The Viking storm, raids, and terror. Just as the Anglo-Saxons had disrupted the lives of the Britons centuries earlier, a new wave of invaders arrived on British shores in the late 8th century AD. They were the Vikings, fierce warriors from Scandinavia, their longships appearing on the horizon like harbingers of chaos. The Vikings were not a unified nation, but a collection of seafaring peoples from Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Their initial raids were swift and brutal, targeting wealthy monasteries and coastal settlements. Lindisfarne, a holy island off the coast of Northumbria, was one of the first victims of Viking aggression. In 793 AD, Viking raiders descended upon the monastery there, plundering its treasures and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. This event sent shockwaves through Anglo-Saxon England, marking the beginning of a new era of fear and uncertainty. Section 6. Viking settlements and the Danelaw. The Vikings were not content with mere raiding. They sought more than just plunder and riches. They began to establish settlements, their presence in England becoming more permanent. These settlements were not just temporary camps, but well-structured communities. By the mid-9th century, large swathes of eastern and northern England had fallen under Viking control, an area that became known as the Danelaw. This region was characterized by its distinct Viking influence. The Danelaw was not a unified kingdom, but a collection of territories ruled by different Viking warlords. Each warlord governed his territory with a degree of autonomy. The Vikings brought with them their own laws, customs, and language, leaving an indelible mark on the cultural landscape of England. Their legal and social systems were integrated into the local communities. Place names ending in by, Thorpe, and Thwaite are testaments to the Viking presence, reflecting the deep-rooted influence they had on the region. As are words like skull, knife, and berserk, which entered the English language during this period. These words are remnants of the Viking legacy. The Viking Age was a time of great upheaval and transformation, a period of cultural exchange and assimilation that reshaped the political and social fabric of England. The interactions between the Anglo-Saxons and Vikings led to a blending of cultures that would have lasting effects on the history of England. Section 7. The reign of Alfred the Great. As Viking power grew, so too did Anglo-Saxon resistance. The Viking incursions were relentless, but the Anglo-Saxons, under Alfred's leadership, were determined to defend their homeland. The reign of Alfred the Great, King of Wessex from 871 to 899 AD, marked a turning point in the struggle against the Vikings. His leadership was instrumental in changing the course of history for the Anglo-Saxons. Alfred, a wise and courageous leader, understood that the only way to defeat the Vikings was to unite the Anglo-Saxons under his banner. He worked tirelessly to bring together the various factions and create a unified front. Through a series of military victories and strategic alliances, Alfred halted the Viking advance and confined them to the Danelaw. His strategic acumen and ability to forge alliances were key to his success. His most famous victory came at the Battle of Edington in 878 AD, where he routed a Viking army led by Guthrum the Old. This battle was a decisive moment in the struggle against the Viking invaders. This victory secured Wessex's independence and established Alfred as the dominant ruler in southern England. The celebrations that followed were a testament to the relief and joy of the Anglo-Saxon people. Alfred's reign was a beacon of hope in a time of darkness, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Anglo-Saxons. His legacy is remembered not just for his military achievements, but also for his contributions to education, law, and culture, which helped shape the future of England. Section 8. Viking assimilation and legacy. The late 9th and 10th centuries witnessed a gradual process of assimilation between the Vikings and the Anglo-Saxons. Intermarriage between Viking settlers and the native population became increasingly common, blurring cultural boundaries. Many Vikings converted to Christianity, further integrating them into Anglo-Saxon society. The Danelaw, once a symbol of Viking dominance, gradually became absorbed into the emerging Kingdom of England. The Viking legacy in England is multifaceted and enduring. They left their mark on the English language, place names, and legal systems. The fusion of Anglo-Saxon and Viking traditions created a unique cultural blend that would influence the development of English identity. Section 9. The dawn of a new era. England after the Vikings. By the late 10th century, England had emerged from the chaos of the Viking Age as a unified kingdom. This period of unification was marked by the consolidation of power and the establishment of a centralized government, which helped to stabilize the region after years of turmoil. The descendants of Alfred the Great, known as the West Saxon dynasty, ruled over a land that had been forged in the fires of conflict. Alfred's legacy of resilience and strategic defense against Viking invasions laid the foundation for a stronger, more cohesive England. The reign of Edward the Confessor, from 1042 to 1066, marked a period of relative peace and prosperity. Edward's rule was characterized by his efforts to maintain stability and foster economic growth, which allowed the kingdom to flourish. Edward, a deeply pious man, restored many churches and monasteries that had been destroyed during the Viking raids. His dedication to the church not only reinforced the spiritual life of the kingdom, but also helped to rebuild the cultural and educational institutions that had been lost. He also maintained close ties with Normandy, a region in northern France ruled by descendants of Viking settlers. These connections with Normandy were crucial, as they influenced the political landscape of England and set the stage for future events. Edward's reign, however, was marked by a succession crisis that would have profound consequences for England. The lack of a clear heir led to disputes and power struggles among the nobility, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and tension. The ensuing conflicts, culminating in the Battle of Hastings in 1066, would mark the end of Anglo-Saxon rule in England and usher in a new era under the Norman kings. This pivotal battle not only changed the course of English history, but also brought about significant cultural and political transformations that would shape the future of the nation.